You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Andor recaps here on For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. We are here to talk about episode 7 of Andor, titled "And the Announcement," and it was an interesting one, to say the least. I was very, very excited watching. I am Andrew, one of your co-hosts. I got Don and Conor with me today, but we have a guest with us today from Star Wars editor, part of the story group. It is Megan. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Andrew?
I am getting through it. I am getting through my days. So before we get started, what I like to do for people that we have not had on the show before, just give us a quick story of, do you have a first memory with Star Wars and how you became a fan, or like a story of like your earliest memory with the fandom, or anything you want to share?
First memory with Star Wars. I love sharing it because it's so funny. I was like 11-ish, in that range. And this was back when everyone still watched cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi was on. So my father put it on right in time for Yoda's death scene. And so that was my introduction to Star Wars. I was sitting there watching this little green person die, and I was like, what is
They killed
happening?
the Muppet.
Exactly. The Muppet's death was my introduction, and somehow that made me want to watch more.
Perfect.
So basically, you had it's like the Dark Crystal, where literally the journey begins with death.
Yes.
For you.
You're like, and then years from now, I'm going to write fan stories about this galaxy and all that stuff. And I'll have to ask you a couple questions about being a writer later, because I have two with me right here that are, well, one has written a great story. One is has one out in about 3 years or whenever is this coming out. It's a different date every episode. He's like, yeah, I think November, maybe December.
No, I think it's December. Until I'm proven otherwise, I'm pretty sure it's December.
Perfect. So, Conor right now is currently in a state of Philly sports-induced panic. So, we'll see how that lasts throughout the episode. We are recording this on Wednesday night. This is probably going to go up Thursday afternoon. So, you'll know by the time this episode is up whether or not the Phillies pulled through. We'll probably find out during the recording, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. We're rooting for you. I am an honorary Philly sports fan for the day.
He's like Nemec during a heist, like before the heist.
No,
before the heist, he's upset.
Yes.
And then by the end of the episode, it'll be like Nemec after the heist, where he's crushed.
No.
I was just about to say, I just was about to say, I'm not going to make any savage jokes about that, and then Andrew just came right in.
Well, you did it last week. I mean, last episode, so I was just assuming that you'd do it again. So, before we get going into the episode, Megan, how have you enjoyed the show, or haven't enjoyed the show so far? Because this is the first time we've had you on the show. I mean, we've obviously talked on the Discord and everything, but this is the first time you've been able to share your thoughts with us. So, what are your thoughts on Andor so far, and where it stacks up compared to the other stuff we've been getting recently?
Yeah, so far, I'm honestly going to say this is the best show that we've gotten so far. It's the most well written. The characters are incredibly well fleshed out. The world is so well built. They took this little space in time that we already kind of knew about, but they've already added so much to it. We're 7 episodes in, and I'm just my mind is blown. Especially with today's episode, the world building was off the charts.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal.
We got the Star Wars equivalent of a vacation home in this episode, or a vacation resort. I was so thrown off when that happened. I was like, what is going on?
I had major Ibiza vibes there, especially because of Nicholas Britell's score, with the kind of club music vibe that they had going on there. They even put that in the credits. That was just That's the kind of vibe I got from that planet.
That was fun.
I was
half
It's like
expecting
see the
to
Bad
go on
Batch go
Twitter after the episode and people be like, "What the hell was this? This is not Star Wars. There's no club music in Star Wars." But no, like I didn't see a single complaint about the episode yet. But I'm sure if I dig deep, I'll find one because
they all watched the
Nice.
Clone Wars, like the season 2 finale. There's club music there, like Coruscant. They love their club music.
I mean,
Coruscant.
when we're doing our episodes, we talked about just like the random changes in music that Kevin Kiner will have. So we're only not even a season in. But this episode, we were kind of wondering where it was going to go because, as Don pointed out during our episode 6 recap, there was Tony Gilroy said in an interview that this one was kind of going to stand on its own compared to other episodes, or it'd be its own thing that would lead into our next arc, which would be episode 8 through 10. What I liked about this episode is it gave us a time to like catch up with everyone else because we focused mainly on Cassian last week, so we got to catch up with Luthen, Mon Mothma. We got to see Syril again and his no Syril this time, which was unfortunate. We got to see Dedra, and then
there was Syril.
Another character.
Yeah, he began
up.
the episode eating cereal.
Did he?
Yes,
yes,
he did.
he
Like
did.
literally, it opens
Nice.
with him like eating cereal while his like mother talks about
Yeah,
his
eating
like
cereal in his like his little collar.
Maybe
he never left.
I was
He
just
never left the
focused on the clone trooper action figures on his shelf. My eyes were like, they
What?
are there. I'm like, he's like all of us. And then I don't know. I really enjoyed this episode, and I like what it set up going forward of where we think this might be going after that. But we start with Syril, and he only has a couple scenes in this episode. His mom is just complaining to him again because his uncle has hooked him up with like this, what I'm just going to describe as like the Star Wars equivalent of like a cubicle, just like desk office job.
Yep,
It just looks like the most like menial, just like plain. Everyone blends in. Everyone is the same type of stuff. Very like descriptive of what the Empire has been portrayed like in this series so far. I'm assuming at some point it's going to lead to him getting involved with the ISB somehow. But there was a great moment where he like watches the newsreel of like the Aldhani heist, like from his home, and I can only assume that like he probably thinks that like, oh, it's that damn Ferrix rebel again causing problems throughout the galaxy, because he is just so like, he even says to the boss like he's trying to clear his name. There's a murderer out there. He's like, yeah, we'll start that now, and then just immediately gives him like his own little space, and then he's just looking miserable in his like little pod for the rest of the episode.
Was I the only one who was like after the episode ended, was I the only one thinking that like the next time we see Syril, it will be his boss comes back to check on him and he finds that Syril has like maximized the work efficiency in his cubicle? Like
Probably.
he's like, oh,
I made some modifications.
I made some modifications, like just some like just redistribution of like assets for like to maximize efficiency. And then his boss is just like, fucking nerd.
I mean, this is the second time we've seen him like tailor his clothes, so he's just got something going on.
And some like tailoring.
It's like, I wanted to raise my collar, and his mom's just looking at him like, what the hell? Like,
she's like, it's not a good look on you, sweetheart. You look like someone who's desperate to be liked. I love that. It was hard not to laugh when she said that. Like you just give off that you are just desperate to please to make people like you, and like no one likes him. It's a lot like the only people who like him are like Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Some
like,
Star Wars fans.
My Twitter timeline, and then that's about it. But yeah, I mean, he's so pathetic. I say this every week, but it just keeps like, he shocks me with how much more pathetic he gets every single episode. It's insane. But yeah, there is I don't know where he's going, but I'm assuming he's going to have a role in this next arc, and where we think that's going to go, which we can discuss later. We can also talk about stuff at the ISB. because someone showed up that I was not expecting. I actually got it spoiled for me before I watched the episode. I refreshed Twitter, and the first thing I see is that Yularen? I'm like, well, I know he shows up at some point. Or maybe he doesn't. I don't know, because they were like, is it Yularen? I'm not sure. Like, the minute he started talking, I was like, okay, this has to be Yularen. And then I saw the mustache. And the whole episode, because they never say his name. So the whole episode, I was like, was that Yularen? And then in the credits, he is credited as Colonel Yularen, and I was like, yes, here we go.
I knew it from the start because they have the subtitles on and they literally subtitled the name, and I was just like from the moment he started talking, I was like, oh my god, it is. That's nuts. And I was just like, it's another example of like what Tony Gilroy said about like how a lot of the more like fan servicey elements of Star Wars, when they're used here, they're not used in a way that like takes time away from the story. To like, because like most cameos and like and fan servicey stuff, there tends to be like time given up to like explain what they're doing here or like what's going on with them. Like they're given time, they're given time and space to be there. But like with this, you know, you don't need to know who Yularen is. You don't need to know that like he's like the Clone Wars general that Anakin and Ahsoka served with, or that he will one day like be on the Death Star in A New Hope. Like all you need to know is that he's just some gruff guy at the ISB who's like higher up than the other guy. Yeah, higher up than the other guy, and who is basically coming in to like give orders to ISB. You know, we need to tighten our fists. And it's been said elsewhere. I love that he used the phrase "tighten their fists" because it calls ahead to what Leia says. The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin,
exactly what I thought too.
The more star systems will slip through your fingers. It's really good storytelling.
Here's
but
what
remember,
I'm
no
confused
Easter
about,
eggs.
Don. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no Easter eggs in the show. So how the
No
hell
Easter eggs though.
Zero.
No Easter eggs.
None.
Come on. I was like, that's not Yularen. That can't be. This has been our thing, Megan, for like every episode, is because Twitter was like, oh yeah, there's no Easter eggs in the show. Tony Gilroy said it. And then every single time there's like a reference to something, Connor's the Easter Bunny. So I mean that's all you need to know.
Easter egg though, if it actually fits into the thing. Like a picture on a wall, that's an Easter egg to me. If it's just something someone says that calls back to something someone else said, that's not an Easter egg. That's just like a parallel or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
You're 100% on the dot there. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. And they used it so effectively because like they built it up so like it's a reveal for like the fans that know who Yularen is. They can be like, oh, okay, yeah, sweet. And then if you don't know who he is, if you've never watched Clone Wars, if you never watched Rebels, you don't know that he's that guy with the mustache in A New Hope. It doesn't take away anything because they're just like, okay, to them, it's just some, like you said, it's just some higher up Imperial character. Oh, the one thing I was surprised about is that he was so like into the Imperial like indoctrination and propaganda. I was just like, oh, so he's not like, this is nowhere near
this man's
the
pilled.
Republic general anymore. Because some people were theorizing that he might like be like secretly going against the Empire because we don't know much about his, you know, with him at this point in the canon timeline. But no, he's just full on Imperial. Like any single rebellion against the Empire, any single crime against the Empire will be treated as a, you know, like a first-rate offense, I think he said. And I'm just like, this is not who I thought Yularen would be. But I mean, it makes sense. Palpatine got in his ear and he turned into this. That's what the Empire does to people.
It corrupts people.
It corrupts people and it makes people selfish. And we definitely see it with several Imperial characters on display, especially near the end in this episode. Even like the shore troopers, they feel like they have a power over all the other citizens just because they wear the armor and just because they serve the Empire. And it was just very telling of like, very reflective of certain real world things, that ending scene.
I was going to ask if anyone felt uncomfortable during that sequence because it's like it was very true to like a lot of scenes we have, and that was like even before the droid showed up and pinned him against the wall. It's like it's like Tony Gilroy, like literally, like the way that whole scene was written, it really felt like they were teeing us up for like a fan service moment. We were like, oh, is that who I think it is? And then they were like, no, we're using that expectation against you here. We're gonna
It's like, no, we're gonna make you suffer. Actually, it's not K2. It's just an angry, evil KX droid that has not been reprogrammed, and he might just kill Cassian right here. It
was scary. It was a scary moment because, like, you know, it kind of drives home the kind of Terminator analogy that the Book of Boba Fett highlighted with the KX series droids, because like they're very Terminator-esque, and like it's very subtle in Rogue One that, you know, he's reprogrammed, so it's kind of a parallel with the T800 and T2. But like, it's really cool that they like had an extra parallel here where, you know, you're seeing the kind of scariness of these droids. So it's going to lend greater symbolism, and, you know, it's going to deepen the character dynamics between Cassian and K2 when we inevitably meet him sometime during the second series, I imagine. Or maybe this is how the first series will end, that they'll meet or something. But yeah, I there's a really cool use of the KX droids.
Yeah, definitely. When we like further touch on that scene, we can go just completely like deep dive into that, because that was just a great scene there. I guess we can talk about Dedra's role in the episode here, since we're talking about the ISB and stuff before we even get to Cassian. Because we're seeing the continued infighting between her and the other officer, and I was actually kind of surprised that Partagaz took her side, because now it looks like that's going to be her going further up in the ranks, where she'll probably be, her and Syril will be the big main antagonists here. But I liked the scene because she showed initiative, and you'd think that would be like something that he wouldn't like, and he'd be like, no, everyone's got to be like, go like by the book. He's like, no, I mean, I wish all of you would show the initiative that Meero does here. And I was like, oh, damn, this took a turn I wasn't expecting. But then they had that good moment where like he goes up to her and is like, yeah, watch your back, and then walks away. So like I would not be shocked at all if, I'm forgetting the guy's name again.
Blevin.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if he tries to further sabotage her, like maybe even to the point of like trying to get her like assassinated or something, and then maybe that's where Syril gets involved. I wonder if it's sorry to interrupt, but I wonder if it's like it's his intention, or if it's at least, you know, he's playing them off against each other in some ways, like he's rewarding Dedra for that because he knows it will make her more efficient, but he's also putting Blevin to the test a bit to see like, okay, well, let's see if you can be this tricky and like outmaneuver her, and if you do, then yeah, sure, I'll give you a higher up position. She's behaved like cat.
Yeah, my cat just like leapt up there. But yeah, where was I?
Blevin going against each other.
Yeah, exactly. Blevin and maybe he's like saying to Blevin, like, you know, Blevin, I completely lost the thought. No, he's saying to his plan is to like have Blevin be more devious, and, you know, potentially like outmaneuver Dedra, or like just to see which of them comes out top, really, because like that's kind of like how the Empire functions. Because like he literally opened his first scene in the series, he's talking about like how the official ISB stance is wrong, and you saw that, you know, like Cassian in episode 6 is like, oh, the Empire, they have all these rules, but they don't care, they don't follow these rules, and we're seeing that there. You know, he doesn't give a he doesn't have like give a toss about like the ISB rules. He just wants to see who's the most efficient at like hailing to his mantra of like destroying any potential symptoms of unrest. And Dedra
he's going to use both of them to his advantage regardless, because either way,
good at that.
He's going to get the credit because he's the commanding officer there. So exactly. Again, I'm really liking the all the scenes of all the ISB stuff, because not only do we have like several like established characters that we're following, but like they're really showing just even in the Empire itself, everyone is just going at each other, and it's all to just get further along with their
Very
own
cutthroat.
career.
I really
Exactly.
appreciate it.
Exactly. It's adding a lot more to like the political aspect of the series, especially with like compared to what we see with like Mon Mothma later, which holy crap, that scene at the party. Like that's easily my favorite Mon Mothma scene ever. But yeah, no, I'm really eating this up. But I guess we can talk about Cassian now, since it is his show, believe it or not. First of all, we're not there yet, but we were blessed in this episode, is all I'm gonna say. In the with a certain scene.
I know what you're talking about, Andrew.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they knew what they were doing. They knew.
All I'm going to say is your move, Pedro, because we'll get to that scene, but I absolutely know what you're talking about.
But he goes back to Ferrix. Which, speaking of Ferrix, we now know that Dedra is going to be in charge of the occupation on Ferrix. So I'm assuming we're going to still be going back and forth because we know that some characters are still going to be there, which I am excited that they're not going away, or maybe they are. I'm not entirely sure. But Cassian goes back, and he's trying to run away, but he wants to bring Marva with him and B2, and it looks like she's going to come with him at first, but this scene between Cassian and his mom, holy shit. First of all, Fiona Shaw, just picture perfect there. She is a tour de force in this show. But I just love this scene and like how important like staying on Ferrix is for Marva so that she can fight back, so she can avenge her husband, which we finally saw the flashbacks there. Oh my god.
Brutal.
Dude. That was just insane.
Wow.
But I am so interested in where this is going because it was a subversion of maybe what we thought, but I had a feeling of like as soon as Cassian mentioned it to Marva that she wasn't going to end up leaving. And when it finally did happen, and like she has that great moment, it's like, oh, I hope you understand. And he's just like, I don't. I'm just like, oh no. Like, is this going to be like the last we see of her? Like, is Cassian going to come back to Ferrix after this whole arc? And like, is he going to go like to try to visit Marva? And is like, she going to be like dead in her house or something because the stormtroopers found her?
I hadn't even thought about that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for
terrible. Oh no,
for bringing that up.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm terrified. Also, I love just like in that scene, like B2 trying to butt into the conversation at points, and like Marva just telling him like, no,
beautiful,
you can't talk. I also love like I think it was Alden Diaz that put it, like I love his like little like charging like port/dog bed thing.
Yeah,
that he's got going.
Great little detail.
Yeah, no, I'm very hooked in, but Marva wasn't the only Ferrix character that came back in this episode. As you can tell by my name if you're watching on the video version, the Bix enthusiast can rise up once again. She's back. And I am so excited. Please don't be the last episode she's in, Tony Gilroy. I'm just please.
I don't think it will be.
I feel like there's no way it's the last one for her.
No. Because I was really looking forward to like how her and Cassian would react again once Cassian found out about Tim. And like he does find out because Marva tells him, and now the whole town is apparently against Cassian and blames him for the Imperial occupation because now ever since the Ferrix incident, the Empire is completely there. There's stormtroopers on the streets. They've completely occupied the planet, and they all blame it on Cassian because Tim ratted him out, and then the whole escape with Luthen. And I loved
Tim.
Again, fuck Tim. I don't like him. I even love when Cassie's like, "Oh, your crazy ex-boyfriend reports me, and I'm the villain here." I'm like, "Yeah, you go, girl." I agree with you 100%. But I'm just continuously impressed by the chemistry between Bix and Cassian. It was finally confirmed in this episode that they used to be in a relationship, which I was like, okay, so they finally confirmed that. It's like, oh yeah, Tim thought we were back together. It's like, why would he think that? I'm like, I don't know, buddy, because you keep flirting with her every 5 seconds.
Keep exchanging intense looks. You're very close.
He's like, goes into like a full like monologue story, like when he rings our doorbell. It's like, go away. It's like, remember when your father caught me trying to climb these walls? I'm like, buddy, this is not the time to be going into full storytelling mode here. But I loved this scene because you can just tell that like there is anger and sadness on both sides. Like you could maybe Bix in a way blames Cassian for Tim dying, and then Cassian blames Tim for having to leave Ferrex and all of this stuff. And I'm very interested in seeing where this goes between the two of them. And I hope it's not their last conversation between the two, because I am, like I said, I'm full on shipping it at this point. I'm not even trying to hide it. But no, I just love her character, and I hope that she has a greater role in the eventual uprising that we're probably going to see on Ferrex with Marva, and hopefully Conor's boy Brasso and Bix.
My dude.
Because even though she said that she has didn't know who Luthen was and didn't like feed him the information about Cassian, I feel like she has some ties to the rebels that we just don't know about yet. And I feel like we're gonna get that sooner in the episode. I'm just very interested in where Cassian's story is going to go for the rest of the season, because I'm assuming that he'll be the next arc. I'm guessing is probably going to be a like prison break type of arc on the planet at the end. I forgot the name. How is it pronounced at the end of the episode? Is it?
Oh, see, I can't remember.
Same.
It's like Naimos or something like that. Naimos.
No idea.
I don't remember. The hotel planet is what I'm calling it. The beach resort planet.
I'm gonna call it Planet Ibiza.
Yeah. But Megan, how do you feel about Cassian's character at this point and everything going on with Ferrex, and where do you think it might be leading to going forward?
I don't even know, man. This episode threw me off completely. I was like following it until like through Ferrex and everything that happened there. I was like, yep, this tracks. I can almost predict it as it's coming. Like I knew Marva was not going to come as soon as he said it. I was like, damn, this is gonna be sad. Now I'm kind of wondering, like, really he's going to prison. I don't know. Like you said, I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of prison break arc, but I can't figure out if he's going to be breaking himself out or if we're going to see Luthen like leave Coruscant to come break this guy out. I don't know.
Yeah, that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Because we see Clea tell Vel later to like hunt down and kill Cassian, assuming that's from Luthen. But like, are they going to have to get him out of the prison first so information about the Aldhani heist doesn't come out? So, like, because they think Cassian might, like, rat them out to the Empire or something. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they feel like they need Cassian. I'm just interested. Also, I'm glad that we, like, got Vel back right away, because we were all worried last week. It's like, what's going to happen? Conor said that, like, she was going to be back, or maybe it was Don. One of the two said that she was going to be back because there are scenes of her in the trailer on Coruscant.
It was Don. I definitely did not say that.
Were those the scenes
I think
in this episode, or are there further ones? So she's still...
The scene was with her with Mon Mothma, so she's absolutely going to be in the next few episodes as well. So, like, clearly she's going to, like, try. I don't know if she'll try and kill Cassian, but I think that she's definitely going to be involved in the effort to break him out. Because there's definitely going to be a conflict, I imagine, because, like, she's going to want to break him out, and maybe she gets Bix and... Marva and B2 get involved in that, because I could see them wanting to help in that regard, and it's a way of bringing all the disparate threads together. Unless, of course, the Ferrex stuff is just
bring her back.
Yeah.
Bring her back.
Oh yeah,
we see her in this one.
Cinta.
I was so excited because
I should have known. I should have known that she would show up.
And it was her,
because they have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she was the one in the shot of the trailer with the Star Destroyer coming up on Aldhani. So I'm like, oh no.
Exactly.
So now Aldhani's going to get further occupied. And I'm like, just don't get captured. I need her and Vel back. I need my space lesbian couple to be happy at the end. And then when Vel like talked to Cinta or Clea about it, it's like, have you heard from Cinta? It's like, she's doing what she was told to do. And I'm like, I'm wondering if Clea is doing that on her own. Like that's my question. Is like, did Luthen send her there? Or is she like trying to do her own thing on the side? That's what I'm curious about. Because we know that, because I was like before this week, I didn't know how much involved she was with the Rebel stuff. Like obviously she's in on it because of Luthen, but I didn't know like how deep she was in it. But like here she is like doing her own little mission thing and like giving the orders to Vel herself, which I thought was really cool, and it made her more of an independent character and not just Luthen's sidekick or Luthen's right-hand woman, which I really liked. And also that like red like outfit she had with the hood and everything, so cool. Just another great like Coruscant costume. The costuming in the show in general is just like great. Like some of the looks in this episode, minus Syril's collar, were just beautiful.
Am I the only one who likes the collar?
I mean, in universe,
I didn't mind the collar. I like the collar. I'm just not sure I like it on that guy.
It looked uncomfortable.
I just think he looks. It makes him look more pathetic, which I'm all right with.
It might just be his posture. That
like it's a bad fashion statement, but it fits his character so well.
I want like the next episode.
He's really tightly wound and stuff.
Right.
Very kind of like.
They just make it like a workplace comedy. Next episode, everyone in the office is just wearing the high collars. It's like, oh yeah, I started a new trend here.
We think it's going to be a Prison Break next episode. It's just going to be like 3 episodes of
just
The
like,
Office, but Star Wars.
The Office, but
just like
Star
Syril,
Wars.
just engaged in like internecine like office
Today's
politics.
bring your mother to work day.
It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars now.
So we're now going to introduce a new segment called Philly's Update with Conor Shakiti.
Not talking about it.
Oh damn!
No,
not going well.
No,
I was like, he looks in despair right now. So I'm like,
yeah, Conor, you look so miserable. I'm gonna look up the score now.
All right, so
I'm also gonna look up as well.
That was the end of our newest segment here.
That's all you're gonna get.
That's all
you're gonna get.
I mean, leave it to Conor to shoot down a bit that I've been building up before it can even start. It's not like we've seen that happen before. First of all, this motherfucker yesterday tweets out. Someone's like, "Oh, you're hottest Star Wars jersey, A-list Sakura, definitely." I'm like, now this motherfucker says it. When me and Jake were building it up for 6 goddamn months.
Okay, the question was sexiest, so that's my answer. But also, Hera's just built different. Like,
you're saying a strong rebel leader isn't sexy? Is that what I'm hearing right now?
Conor, this is an iffy take, man.
Now, if Hera was wearing a Phillies jersey, would that change your answer?
No,
I think it would.
We're gonna commission right now.
Yeah, Conor, you're just enough of a simp that would change your answer. It would. I say it lovingly.
I know you do, Megan, but still, no.
Okay. Well, now that I got that out of the way, so yeah, I guess now, because we've talked about Clea and we talked about, I'm so glad Cinta's okay. Like, I was very worried that we would not see her again after last week, and that she would just kind of blend in, and we won't know what happens to her if they left her fate ambiguous. But she's back. I'm just now very worried that something bad will happen because of the Star Destroyer showing up. Hopefully they don't like make an example of the planet or anything. No more Tarkin. You may fire when ready. I don't want that. I don't
I
want
could
that to happen.
see them doing that. I actually think Cinta will be all right because she is probably the most not cutthroat, but she's the most like coldly focused of all of the Aldhani rebels, even more so than Vel was, because like Vel had that brief moment of fear during
Yeah.
episode 6. So like, but whereas Cinta was the one who was like, Vel, we need to go. We need to do this. I think Cinta will be fine. I think Cinta will get off because like I think she'll be able to get off Aldhani relatively easily. She could probably even do a Shara Bay from the comics, like where Shara Bay stowed inside a Star Destroyer and she was safe because she was able to hide in the like crevices of the Star Destroyer because those things are huge. They're like practically a city in a ship. So yes, you can potentially like stow away in a Star Destroyer. So I could see her doing that, or she just kills an Imperial stormtrooper and wears the costume because that's never happened before in Star Wars.
No, they've never done that before.
Yeah,
I'm a little scared for I'm scared for the Aldanis though. Yeah,
we
that
finally
could very
got like
much...
full-on stormtroopers in this episode, though. So now everyone can finally stop asking where the stormtroopers are, because they're here, and they arrested our boy. But we'll focus on that when we get there. What I am worried about more than Cinta, if we do keep going back to Aldhani, is I feel like the Empire is going to target the people just because this all happened during the Eye.
Yep.
And they're going
I
to take it
felt
out on
that
the natives,
too.
and they're going to pull a Tuskens with the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm worried.
Yep, I'm scared.
Yeah. Because it was
Honestly,
very...
Like,
yeah, I was
especially
gonna say that,
after
like...
the community that we saw in the Eye episode, I was just like, I'm really scared.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because it was very much like that with Book of Boba Fett. You know, they devoted so much time to it that literally, like, after I watched the episode, my whole timeline was like, please don't kill them next episode because it's going to be so predictable if you do. And it's like, I'm sure they'll if they do that, then I'm sure it'll serve the story. But it would be a little bit predictable if the Aldhani were like wiped out or something. I mean, it's certainly been foreshadowed with the way
it's the
Luthen...
Empire.
Yeah, and it's the fact that Luthen is like probably factored that in because like we see in his conversation with Mon, you know, he wants things to get a little bit worse. Like he says that they've been choking us so much we're starting not to notice.
Well,
So,
there
like,
was that
he's
line where Mon Mothma was like, "Oh, people are going to be harmed," and he's like, "That's the plan." I'm like, does he mean the Empire? Does he mean like innocent people? Like, are we?
Oh,
seeing,
he means
like,
innocent people.
Is he Saw Gerrera? Question mark. Like,
Exactly. Well, we see him with Saw. He associates with Saw Gerrera, so maybe like we're probably going to get like a moral spectrum of the nascent rebellion because you know we got Mon on one end who's very much like very much like she rebels very much, but she also wants to avoid loss of life. She wants to avoid casualties, that kind of thing. That kind of stuff makes her very understandably squeamish because you know it's not great. It's like it's quite a horrible prospect to consider. And then you've got Luthen, who is very strategic and very calculating in the way that he's putting a lot of stuff together, but also seems to have less scruples about it. And then you've got Saw, who is like, you know, we've yet to see, aside from Rebel Rising, because I know Conor has mentioned that a few times, we've yet to see Saw like really do anything awful in like live action or animation, like truly awful that would make the rest of the rebellion not want to associate with him like at all. And I can't help but wonder if that's coming.
We got, I think in animation at least, was Click Clack.
Yes.
Ghost of Geonosis.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to bring that up.
That was the closest we got.
Yeah, and even then he got like talked out of it really, and like he goes on that other adventure with, Ezra and Sabine, and they relatively like there's like they clash over the Kyber crystal and stuff, but they emerge. The relationship is relatively unscathed at the end of it. Like they don't like disavow Saw at the end of it and go their separate ways. So like I feel like that could be coming with Saw, but I also am interested to see where what Luthen's relationship with him is and how and if Luthen is what bridges the two. Because
you know what I just realized.
Yeah,
you can finish your thought, but then I something just popped.
Oh no, yeah,
in my
sure,
head,
sure.
So. No, I said just whatever you were gonna say, and then I'll say my piece.
So like, yeah. So all I was going to say was like, I imagine Luthen is going to be what brings Saw and Mon together, because like the way they talked in Rebels, it's like they know each other. It's like they have interacted personally. So I feel like this is going to be how Mon Mothma gets involved with like the wider stuff, because her story is mostly concerned with Coruscant at the moment, and she can't really escape Coruscant and be part of the rebellion openly, because we've seen that in Rebels. I mean, it's possible that like Cassian is involved in that. Like we see another angle of it, because we never saw her get off Coruscant, did we? We never saw her get off Coruscant. We only see her on like the ship before she's intercepted by the Ghost crew. So like, we could see that in season 2, because season 2 is going to go through several years, and I could see Cassian being brought in on like that job to like help spring her, because that's a way to get those on screen together very briefly.
I'm very interested how they're going to do the storytelling in season 2, where they said every 3 episodes is going to make up a year. So I'm wondering if the pace is going to be a bit more fast-paced compared to what we have this season, where things are allowed to breathe a bit more. But we'll see. What I was going to say is, you mentioned Kyber crystals. We never saw Vel give Cassian's Kyber crystal back to either Luthen or Clea. So is she going to like hold on to that like for a bit and like use it as leverage or something? I'm not like, maybe we're just
is
not
worth a pretty decent amount of credits. So
yeah. Also, I love during the combo with Bix, he's just casually like, "Oh yeah, 12,000. That should do enough to pay off all my debts," and then he just leaves. People have been talking all week about like, again, the same discourse I feel like we get every 5 months or 5 weeks really, or 5 days, honestly, is, why does Cassian need a show? Like, who cares about the guy that died in Rogue One? Like, why does he need a show? And I'm like, Cassian's character in this show and just in general, he's one of my favorites. And like, it wasn't like that always for me. Like the first time I saw Rogue One, Cassian was not on like my high list of characters, but now like with this show and like going back and watching that movie again, he's really, really up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just helps. It's like, oh, but there's all these other characters. Like, why is it called Andor? I'm like, who cares what the name of the show is?
It's easy. It's an easy answer though, because like Andor is like, the reason it's called Andor is that he not only is he the main character, but he's the person who sets everything in motion. Every single thing, and this is what's great about the storytelling. Every single thing that has happened so far has been set in motion by the actions of Cassian. Like that whole mission that he did before, and like killing those 2 corpos, all of that has instigated this. All of that has it's been the catalyst to propel the whole story forward. And like, he's along on the ride, yes, like whether he wants to or not, and he's not always in control of like where his narrative is going, and it's often driven by other characters. But like, that happens in a lot of stories. And like, as for the whole thing of like, oh, why does it have to be about him? Who cares about him? He died in Rogue One. It's like I'd say a good 60% of Star Wars, like as a whole, is about, has characters in lead roles who the audience already knew were going to die beforehand. Like, the prequel trilogy, like basically like 70% of that cast, are going to be fine because they're going to die in the original trilogy. You've got Solo, which is a whole prequel about the guy who 2 movies ago just died. So we know he's going to be fine. And then you've got the Clone Wars. You've got the Clone Wars where like most of the literally all the Jedi characters, practically, aside from Ahsoka, like the one character.
And we all thought Ahsoka was screwed because she wasn't in Revenge.
Exactly. The only character we didn't know was gonna die there was Ahsoka. It's basically, you could go on like the majority of Star Wars has dealt with this problem and dealt with it really well. And I think Andor is doing that as well.
Obi-Wan died like an hour into the very first Star Wars story we ever got. And there's still so many stories about this, and not a single person was like, yeah, no, why do we need an Obi-Wan show? We know he dies already.
Right.
It's about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Don't underestimate this fandom to be really fucking stupid.
Yep. Also, my condolences, Conor. I looked up the score. So,
that's rough,
very
buddy.
Sorry. Very sorry for your loss.
They were up 4-0. They were 4-0.
Oh no! See, that's giving me like Euro 2021 vibes, like as like a football fan, because like I had a very similar experience there. My goodness.
Well, at least the Eagles are still undefeated for one more week, but we'll see.
Conor, your face, man. I feel so bad for
If you're not
you.
watching on video right now, do yourself a favor. YouTube.com for the Republic Podcast. Please give us a subscribe. You can see our suffering in real time, and you can also see Don's Cassian inspired.
I can feel your anger.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
No, see, so yeah. Anger would be Mace Windu. Disappointment. Sorry, anger would be Palpatine. Disappointment is how Mace Windu feels most of the time.
I'm not angry.
Like whenever he looks,
I'm not angry with you, Skywalker. I'm just disappointed. It's like, you know what you did. You know what you did. Did you disobey orders again? It's like, yes, Master. It's like, all right, go sit.
Skywalker, did you just cut off both my hands?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Actually.
I'll wax my anger about the game off air.
Would you rather we talk about Mon Mothma at the Coruscant party now to cheer
That was
you
a
up?
really interesting scene. Like,
Again, shout out to the costuming department in this show. That dress, every outfit at that party, beautiful. Let's also talk about
who here thought we were going to see a Slymore, like just little 1 second, like.
You know who I thought was showing up because they name dropped him so much in this episode? Palpatine. I thought maybe not.
I was waiting for
true. I didn't think that at all.
I feel like he's gonna show up at this point. We're gonna see good old Sheevy boy. I feel it coming because they're not even saying the Emperor. They're saying, "Oh yeah, Palpatine," and
he's
even,
showing up. He's going to be in the Senate.
Was like, "Oh yeah, I spoke to Palpatine earlier today."
Yeah, he's absolutely going to be.
Not.
Oh yeah, Major.
Said,
I think said he spoke with Palpatine, and it's just like,
yes,
you spoke with who now?
Was it Party Guys or was it you?
So casually. I told Palpatine.
It might have been you, Lauren. I can't, dude. All these Imperials look the same. They're all old white dudes.
I just got a text from.
They're all old white dudes like who are super repressed.
Oh yeah, Palpatine. He just tagged me on Twitter on something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's literally the other way.
He's FaceTiming me. I gotta pick this up real quick.
Yeah, and he's just got like a filter on, like just so no one can see his face.
First of all, so this party, a couple things. One, Tay Colma, what a guy. What a guy. We talk about how Perrin sucks. This guy is like reverse Perrin. Like this is like who she should have married because this is a guy right here. Also, I
don't even think married. Just
like platonic life partners.
Yeah, it's like that meme, like the guy your wife tells you not to worry about. That's Tay.
The guy you
That's Tay at this
point.
That's Tay. Yeah. Also, like,
Absolutely.
finally put to bed, like, all the things, like, people are like, is he going to be related to Chancellor Valorum? Because he kind of looks like Terrence Stamp. But, like,
dude, I remember when the trailer first
Chandrilla.
came out, I was like, there's no way that's Valorum.
I thought
There's
it
no
was.
way. And then, like, I think it was the captions for the
Said
trailer
Tay Colma.
said, like, Tay Colma. And I'm like, damn it.
I didn't think it could have been because, like, it looked like way too young to be Valorum at this point in the timeline.
That's fair.
That is
Yeah,
true.
Like, I thought it
Valorum's
could have
pretty
been, like,
old.
his son or a relative or something because
There's no way his son would have fucking.
well, it's like I'm pretty sure
Wait,
I'm pretty
no,
sure the Valorums
I'm
have like a
wrong.
political
I can't
dynasty
do math.
in canon.
Whoa.
Like I'm pretty sure there have been several Valorums like that have been in power, like in canon and Legends. I think I could be wrong.
So what you're
but-
saying is, it's good the Valorums are no longer in power.
It's like the Kennedys of Star Wars, but worse. But
Or like
hopefully they don't
Lannisters.
mysteriously die as well. But too soon. But yeah, no, I loved the scene, and I just loved like the build to it, where Tay is like, oh, like you'll find that I've become a bit disillusioned with the Empire. Like my politics might be a bit too radical for your tastes. And then Mon
I think it was a
Mothma
bit
loved
too
that.
turns it
strong.
around
So
on him
good.
later. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's
Dude, when
go Mom.
he asked what she was taught, like this whole spiel that she was thinking, I just for some reason I was thinking like, oh, she's gonna say like the rebellion or something like something related to the R word. And so when she was like, it's a Chandrillan
Charity.
outreach program, I was like, ooh,
It's such a
that's
good
good.
conversation.
Yeah, I was on the other side of that corner. Like, I was confused about why they were talking about it so openly. I was like, guys, you're at this party. Look at who's around you.
You're
You
definitely
just are
not like
very-
whispering.
it's a
You're
very-
like
I don't
you're within
like that.
earshot of several people.
It's TV whispering, isn't it? Like so, like
Yeah.
they're talking
It's like,
like this,
if you're not,
and like
it's like there's people right around you, but if they're not in the front of the camera, they can't hear you.
When they were
exactly.
sitting like on the bench, like at the end of the conversation, there was someone like right
There was
over
someone
there.
right there.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
like,
like, yeah, that's someone
I
just
want to be a
sitting
bit
there
more
going, "Ah."
discreet.
And,
Like for
yeah,
all
and this
you're
is
talking
kind of
about
why
how
I'm not really sure I trust this guy. Like, he said it way too easily in that environment. I was just like,
I know you're
So
talking
they-
about how like your
like,
driver's a spy. You know, you have all these people looking for you, and then you're just having this conversation like out in the open with all these other like senators and stuff there.
Yeah, it's object permanence in real time.
I mean,
in
I was
TV.
really
I
hoping,
mean, you
like
could
you said,
argue that like
a
they're all
Slymore
so
appearance would have been
they're all
cool.
so self-absorbed that like they're not gonna pay any attention anyway. Like, and so like Mon can get away with.
It's
with
like
having a
Cassian
conversation
said
like
in
this. They're so fucking
episode
satisfied.
3.
Yes,
yeah,
episode
the third
3.
episode. They're so satisfied they don't even care. Yeah, they're so fat and
Yeah,
satisfied they
they're
don't
so
even
proud
care.
of themselves. They don't
Yeah,
even care.
they don't even care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly. This show is gonna set the benchmark for amazing Star Wars conversations, because like you've had that one in episode 3 with Luthen and Cassian, then you've got the one with Nemik and Cassian in episode 5, and now you've got like these 2 really really cool conversations with like Luthen and Mon, and then Mon and
dude, the Luthen and Mon.
That was
I almost
great.
said, "Oh my gosh."
Incredible.
I just love how like every time they notice the driver's looking, they're just like, "Yeah, I don't have anything for you today. Guess you gotta come back."
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It's just
Like,
it's
what do you think
really
was gonna
smart
happen?
writing.
Because
Because like you've got
that.
you've got them both basically playing politics, where they're being very clever, like about how to present themselves. It's a very much kind of shows you the kind of lives they have to lead on Coruscant, and in the context of like Tay and Mon Mothma's conversation, that was really cool. My favorite thing about it was the fact that they had to like build up. They were like kind of feeling each other out to determine each other's politics. Because you know, of course, Tay isn't going to like be wholly trustworthy of like what politics Mon has, because like she's on Coruscant, she's enmeshed in the Galactic Senate, and you know, for as progressive as she seems next to everyone else, she could always have like some secret agendas that he might not know about. And it's the same with Mon. Just because he's our old friend doesn't mean he's necessarily gonna like support her. And if she just like confided in him, she might have looked a little naive and untrustworthy. And like the whole point of this scene is to like show how much smarter Mon is. Like she's so much smarter than everyone is giving her credit for. Like, because Luthen kind of treats her a little bit like a naive fool, really, like a idealistic fool a little bit. I get that's the sense I kind of get from their conversations. And he's kind of underestimating her, just like everyone else in the Senate is, just like her own husband is. And that kind of extends to Dedra, because everyone in the ISB underestimates Dedra. And like that conversation, like we talked about earlier, is like the first time Partagaz kind of like looks at her and goes, "All right, yeah, I think I underestimated you a bit. Here's this guy's job. You go do the Ferric's job if you think you can do better."
Now that you said that, Jonathan, you just gave me an idea, and I really want to see this now. But a conversation between Dedra
Yeah.
and Mon, oh my god, that would be amazing.
You said
It would be
Dedra and
amazing.
who it cut out for me.
I think
Mon Mothma.
I could see. I was lip reading. I saw Mon Mothma.
Ooh, that would be
Yeah.
So good.
that would be very cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
we know
Dedra
we're
is
getting
really
Vel and
smart.
Mon Mothma, so Dedra and Mon Mothma, that would be great.
It would be
Also-
like that bit with Tala and I can't believe I've just forgotten Moses Ingram's character's name, Reva.
Reva.
It's Reva.
It would be like that scene with Tala and Reva, where like
just
you are
going with
literally
Moses
like
Ingram,
this.
mate, just we wouldn't fault you for that. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I just also wanted, because I remember when we were talking about Luthen and Mon Mothma, how when Clea and Vel were talking, she was like, yeah, my condolences, Nemec, Terriman, and Gorn will be missed. She didn't say Skeen, because fuck Skeen. I hate that,
Fuck that guy.
bitch. Even she was like, yeah, no. I knew that guy was fishy to begin with.
He got all our hopes up about Nemec, and it was all bullshit. Yeah, he
that's
can,
why
he
I
can
was going
rock.
to say, I'm very, like, I do like Tay a lot, but I'm also very worried because this show has burned me before with characters I thought I could trust, Skeen, that ends up betraying them at the end. So hopefully this doesn't happen with Tay, where he's secretly like working with the ISB to get dirt on Mon Mothma. But I want to believe that he's the one guy that she can confide to, because it's definitely not her husband. Shout out though to Lita for being me in like big parties like this, where she just, can I be excused? I'm like, yeah, that would be me after like a half hour. I'm like, this is too much. I need to go to my room. Me during any like family gathering, like 10 minutes in, can I leave
She's
now?
like, Mom, all of these people are talking about order, and it's really creepy.
It was the same thing too. It's like she's stuck in that conversation. It's like, you remember this guy? You met him when you were really like when you were a baby. Like you've seen him dozens of times. Like it's always that one interaction. It's like, yeah, I remember, and like you have no clue who this person is. It's like, oh, she was there all the time when you were younger, and you're like, I've never seen this man before in my life. Sorry.
I was kind of surprised we didn't see Bale there, because that would have been a natural spot for
I think
Bale
they're
to
saving
appear.
him because he indirectly got referenced, because
He
they
took
were
one
like,
look
oh,
at the guest list and was
he's
like,
like,
nah.
nope. It's like
Nah.
Tay Colma, absolutely not.
Because
That
he
guy's
would have
a
had to bring
square.
Leia. He would have had to bring Leia with him, and Leia would have
Oh,
that's
roasted
true.
half of the people there for sure. Like if he'd left Leia alone with Lita, Leia
Oh
like
no.
Lita would have
Oh, yeah.
complained to Leia about her mom, and Leia would be like, "What are you talking about? Your mom's awesome."
That's the spin-off episode. Is like Leia and
Yes.
Lita like in like Lita's room.
I need
Like
it.
Leia's just trying to push the rebellion on her. Yeah, no, I mean, because I think they mentioned Bale when Mon Mothma was like, I'm about to tell you something that only 3 people in the galaxy know about. And I'm assuming that he was one of those people. But I think they're going to save him for probably season 2, maybe later in season 1. We'll see. But I mean, I got to assume if he was in Kenobi that they're going to put him in Andor, because he was in Rogue One, and it just makes sense. Like, if they're going to include Yularen, and if they're going to include, like, other characters like Slymore, maybe, who knows? We'll see. But I think it makes sense. What I'm excited to see, because we know that we're going to get a couple more of these just based on the trailer, is I want to see Luthen at one of these, like, Mon Mothma parties. Just him, like, very subtly, like, just trying to drop hints about the rebellion to her there. But then because it's Luthen, people are just gonna like pick up on it or something. I just want to see him in that like space and that that environment. I just want to see how he reacts.
I get the sense. Does anyone else get the sense that he is going to intentionally blow up his cover on Coruscant? Like he's going to let his cover slip, because he said in episode 4, I think it was, or 5. No, it was. I think it was 5. Yeah, he said the thief Andor. Sorry, like the way he says it, Cassian Andor. He says I wasn't careful. Like so, he knows very well that like Cassian, what's going on with Cassian could expose him, and that's why he's gonna like probably maybe get involved in helping Cassian get out of prison. So like that could happen. I also think that he might though blow his cover intentionally, because he might just get so sick of like, because you can tell that it wears on him having to do that, because like we only see him talk with Mon Mothma, but like my goodness, can you imagine the kind of people who walk in there every day into that shop and just like, just like take things? There must be the exact kind of people he's fighting against, and it must like really wear at him.
He gets stuck in a combo with Syril's mom. He's like, fine, I'm a rebel leader. I can't deal with you anymore. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I definitely want to see a scene like that later. But I love the way that combo between Mon and Tay ended, where she just throws that line back at him. It's like, everything you know about me is a lie. Good. I'm like, okay, just shout out real quick. Shout out George Lucas for casting Genevieve O'Reilly in this role way back when Revenge of the Sith was filming, because the way that she's able to come back all these years later and give this performance, it's unbelievable. She's absolutely nailing the role. This is, like I said, easily the best scene that I've ever seen from this character, and it's even even more of an example, finally I spit it out, of why having her have such an increased role in this show has been such a great idea, and it's just such a great decision they've made, because we've been saying, like, Mon Mothma has been a character for almost 40 years, and she's always just been in the background. She's never had the spotlight to herself. Now that we're getting that, it's paying off more and more every single episode. And yeah, no, I love seeing all this, the Coruscant life and everything in this show. It's just continually one of my highlights, and hopefully we're going to be
about it before, but just like, it's the most George Lucas thing ever, where he'll just cast someone as like a character. It's just like, oh yeah, they look the part, and it's like, we think nothing of it, but then like 10, 15 years later, they're like really big in the universe now, like Genevieve with Mon Mothma, and Joel Edgerton is Uncle Owen.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's the most George thing ever, and I love it.
It's like, because no one thinks of him as like an actor's director, because his directions are always like faster and more intense. But like, look at the caliber of actors he's like got together. Because obviously there's like casting teams and stuff like that. But it's such a really cool. It's just really cool to see all these actors that were like seeded back in the prequels just kind of get their due. Like we got that with Hayden and Ewan in the Obi-Wan show. Like, because they obviously had time to shine in the prequels, but to like get to see them again and really dig into like their emotional pain was great. And to like actually get Genevieve back, not just for Rogue One, but to dig into like Mon Mothma's personal life, like, just explore just like who she is as like a person and what it must feel like for her to exist in that kind of space as like a senator, and like, someone who is like secretly like infuriated with like the political stance of their homeworld, which is a lot of us right now. So it's little wonder that we are all like all drawn to Mon in that in these scenes, because we're all her in a lot of ways. We're all like railing against like the political state and looking askance at like people who are just like, yeah, these people are fun though.
Yeah,
there's a lot of parents in the world, is all I'm gonna say.
They're fun. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great because like they didn't have to bring Genevieve back, but the fact that they did, I love it. And
does anyone this is just like a random tidbit, because like I found this out like a few weeks. Does anyone else know that she voices Moira, the character Moira in the game Overwatch? Because I didn't know that until like a week ago.
Genevieve O'Reilly does.
Yeah. There's quite a few like interesting voice actors in that cast. Definitely. I didn't know that she does a lot of voice acting though. That's how I think they got her back for Rebels too, which is also just so cool that she's in Rebels. She voiced Mon Mothma for such a pivotal stage of the character's life, where she like finally became like a rebel for real, like got to be a rebel publicly. I mean,
well, hopefully they keep bringing her back every time they want to use the character, even if it's like animation.
Speaking of which, Andrew, you watch Rebels recently?
I'm not going to answer this question.
Okay.
Because I know where this is going. This man's trying to get trivia knowledge out of me. I'm being watched. Yeah, Rebels is awesome. That's all I'll say to answer his question. But if they ever do another animated series more in like the sequel timeline, where they want to explore more of Mon Mothma's reign as Chancellor, that would be really cool if they brought Genevieve back. And I'm
That would be
sure
so cool.
I mean, they'd need it. We know she becomes Chancellor, but we know literally nothing about her reign because they just skip forward. And by the next story, they're like, "Yeah, no, she's in bad health. She's retired." It's like, all right, well, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
We got all this.
She's in bad health. She retired.
I get the sense we're going to get a bevy of Mon Mothma related stories after this show because there's going to be a demand, I imagine.
So weird. She got no mention at all in the sequel trilogy. Like none. I just find that so confusing.
Yeah,
but
she doesn't get like a mention, but like Admiral Akbar like got a full cameo.
Well, it's a trap, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then his son was in Rise for like 2 seconds, but got a whole comic based on, which is a great run. Allegiance, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Great comic. I read that the other week. Do you hear that, Connor? I read something the other week. Ask me questions about it. Okay. But we can cut now because of Cassian, as we talked about. So he flees Ferrix, and he's able to hide out on the tourist planet of Naemos, is how I'm gonna pronounce it. And of course, this is what I was alluding to earlier. The first we see of him is just him, random woman in bed, him showering. We got the Cassian titties on display. Thank you, Tony Gilroy. Thank you so much. That was literally my whole timeline after the episode was topless Cassian, titties, and I'm like, don't fall for the trap. Don't do it. Don't make the tweet. I was not strong enough. The dark side has corrupted me. Yeah. What was he like? What was in that? Was it just his credits? Like, what was in that briefcase?
I think so.
Okay, and it's like, how long has he been hiding there? Because, like,
his thing. Do you think that he's gonna like have the manifesto with him when he goes to prison? Because I thought he would read it this episode.
We got none of that. We also didn't get your scene you pitched, Megan. I don't know if you listened to the new episode yet, but Don pitched this whole scene.
I pitched the whole scene.
Would hide out on Tatooine, and he'd be talking to this stranger about his old ordeal. And then at the end of the episode, they'd pan the camera out, and it would be Kenobi.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful.
So it would be great,
Don's just
but it
write
sounds so outlandish. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to just write that myself. Like Cassian stopped over at Tatooine to get like a passport, and like he has a convo with Obi-Wan, and then he leaves. But like, yeah, I get entirely why they opted to do that, because Cassian's whole thing is that he is still running because he still wants, I think, to like have a life of his own where he's not, where he doesn't have to run, he doesn't have to like worry about other people, but he also is still looking for his sister. Like Marva tells him,
yeah. I was gonna bring
Marva
that
tells
up.
him, let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
She's still out there.
Someone
pointed something out. Someone said that when Clea was walking through Coruscant, the score sounded very similar to the score that they were playing during the Canary scenes in the first 3 episodes. So is she Cassian's sister? Question mark.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that.
I've heard that before, and it kind of makes sense to me. And they would explain a few things, like how Luthen knows so much, because I can see her like keeping an eye on her brother.
Yeah, but
and then the fact that she gives the order to Vel to kill Cassian, maybe she blames Cassian for abandoning her. I don't know.
I don't see that. I don't
see her being his sister, but I definitely think she's still out there. People said it could be Cinta, but I think that would be kind of weird since Cassian's kind of flirting with her the whole time. But yeah, maybe that would be on the nose.
Does anyone else? I think if she is out there, I think we should probably be concerned for his sister, because even if she's either gonna be out there and he's gonna find her, or I get a sinking feeling that she could be dead by the time he finds her, and it has something to do with the Empire.
I was going to
Because
say, do you think like Dedra or
it's-
Syril would find out about her and kidnap her,
Probably.
torture her?
Well,
to
she
find out stuff
is
about
she
Cassian?
is on Ferrix now.
Ooh.
Dedra is on Ferrix, and Dedra is probably going to interrogate people about that. She's going to find out, like, she knows that he's from Conari, so she's going to interrogate people about that. She could find out. But yeah, I'm hoping against hope that Cassian's sister is out there. But I think, given his fate in Rogue One, I would be surprised, given how much he's very clearly committed to the rebellion and willing to sacrifice himself in a lot of respects. I don't see his sister making it out of this alive, if that's the case, because I don't think he would produce someone with that kind of dedication to the rebellion where he would die for it. Not if he has a family member to live for, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely understand. I am just very worried.
I feel like I've bummed everyone out at the thought of
the throw line of Marva being like, yeah, everyone died. I'm like, okay, so she's alive, right? Like, because that's just always me. Just like, yeah, no, she's got to still be out there.
Yeah, maybe it's like a "you're better off not knowing" thing, and then he finds out, and he really was better off not knowing.
Yeah,
because
I feel like that might be a season 2 thing, though. I don't know where they can fit it into season 1 at this point.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna fit into season 1. They would have to bring her in in the next episode, or there's no time.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe she's like a
still
stormtrooper at the prison or something.
Yeah, or maybe she is just like one of the prisoners there.
Yeah, I could see that. And then they escape together, and she dies.
Can we talk about how in that flashback?
You know what? I am going with that. That is my theory now
That's
as well.
my new theory
Thank you,
too.
Megan.
You know, Megan, I thought with Jake not here that we'd have, less pain on this show, but you're fulfilling his role.
Yeah, if you could read the chat, you would know.
They wrote Price of Justice.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I
gotta get
say.
Just mention Black Series figs at least once, and we'll just pretend you're the new Jake. The one thing that I do want to point out about that flashback, because I don't know if we brought it up, but the fact that the whole time it was like Cassian as his current self, but then at the very end, he's younger Cassian attacking the clone troopers and getting arrested. And I'm like, that was just a great way of telling it, because I was trying to figure out, okay, this was supposed to be 13 years ago, and you're telling me 13 years ago Cassian's got full ass beard, looks just like he does now. But then they cut it and it showed this was just how he's choosing to remember it, and he was so much younger back at that point. The fact that his dad got killed for trying to stop other people from protesting. The Empire, man. Also, it was
brutal.
Confirmed that
it was honestly a little confusing to me because I don't know. This was 13 years ago, so the Empire was still kind of relatively new. They hadn't reached a position where they could do stuff like they're doing in this episode. So I'm a little uncertain about why they were like, yeah, we'll just kill this guy who was trying to be on our side in front of all of his friends.
Well, we know
because he knew everyone in that crowd. So I was just like, that was stupid.
So
but I'm
my
interested
guess,
in the writer's choice.
My guess, judging by what we saw from the scene, was that Ferrix was probably occupied by the Republic during the Clone Wars. There was probably a base on the planet, and then when the Empire took over, they probably just never left, and that was the thing. And then they obviously took out all people that were dissenting against them. And just that line of Marva saying, every day for 13 years, I would find a different way to walk by the square because I didn't want to see the memory of him hanging in the square. And then they showed
him.
I'm like, what in the Jojo Rabbit is this right now? Come on.
No, yeah, that's it's so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was...
Yeah. I think we're going to get more
plan.
flashbacks next episode because I think that sequence of him trying to attack the clones is integral to why he is so out for himself and why he is so he's not defeated, but just not interested in like a larger fight because like we don't because like they're turning to him with their blasters. So what the hell happened to like spare him to like where he didn't just immediately get shot? Do you know what I mean? Like maybe someone just intervenes, like a friend of his, and gets killed or something, and he has to kind of like, you know, he's basically then out for himself because he doesn't really. He's seen firsthand what happens if you rebel, things get worse, and like, you know, someone tightens their fist.
Maybe it's Fix's dad.
I
don't know.
That would be interesting. That might be the reason why they're not together. Really, you know, it would make sense why he's still very like, you know, he's almost obligated towards Bix in a sense because he indirectly caused the death of her father. That would be a good.
He's
shout.
Obligated to her because she's the perfect specimen, but that's none of.
There is also that she is. Yeah, she's amazing, and
have
you know,
seen?
He's got eyes.
He's got eyes, definitely.
Yeah.
But just the storytelling and the editing, like the way that just the sound of the stormtroopers marching triggered the flashback in Cassian's mind. Haunting stuff, man. Like just the little things that they're doing with this show. I am just over the moon with it. But then we get to the ending scene where he's literally just like walking through the beach town. There's all these other people running, causing distress. And at first I was like, oh, cool, shore trooper. And then that didn't last long. Because I mean, I love the shore trooper design. It's one of my favorite stormtrooper looks. But then one of them confronts him. It's like, what you doing? I know you're a part of it. It's like, part of what? He's like, I'm literally just going to the store. And then the KX droids pull up. And we get the, tell him you meant watch. I love that scene. But it was
it's so creepy.
It's so...
it's like it's very like I said, it's very Terminator energy with like the that kind of stuff there, and it makes me so excited for when they're gonna like because it makes me wonder, does Cassian does he play a part in K2 being reprogrammed? Because that would be super cool, and maybe that's like the first arc of season 2. That would be very interesting, or maybe it is the finale. Like maybe that is part of the finale, because then that's why. That's part.
Yeah, I mean, we already know how the show's going to end.
Yeah, well, exactly. Tony just kind of said it. He's like, yeah, he goes to
the tarmac to go to the Ring of Kefrine. Like was like I think he described, like, not in detail described the final shot, but like, you know what? Let me pull it up. I know Tony Gilroy legit said it, like, in an interview.
I mean, he's really just like, oh yeah, so we're gonna tell the show in this way, and you know, all the arcs are gonna be this long, and then this and this and this and this, and then it's just like, okay, sweet, gotcha. But I mean, it really was like they're not subtle at all with the message they're trying to share here, with the cop randomly coming up to an immigrant character and profiling him and arresting him for something he didn't do, and the fact that he's just trying to push his power onto random citizens, and even the sentencing, where it's like normally this would be a 6-month sentence, but because you're a tourist, we're gonna make it 6 years. Which, I mean, funny of them to do that, to just retcon Rogue One like that. So now we know Cassian's safe because he's just gonna be in a prison for.
So let's see. Okay. So. He also talked about like the structure of next season, and he says, quote, we're going to come back for a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday, and then we're going to jump a year, and then we're going to do like 5, 6, 7 days and jump a year, and then we're going to do 2 weeks and jump a year. And the final block that we come back to is going to be the last 5 days before Rogue One. And then he says, yeah, I mean, our final scene of the show is no secret. It's going to be Cassian walking across the tarmac to get into the ship to go to the Ring of Kefrine to go meet Teven.
Tony, why are you saying literally everything?
Like, I can't help but respect
Connor's given me a mad theory now, like because we've seen that the Andor series has like they like their ensembles. They like showing other characters besides Cassian and like spending time with them. So like, what if the last arc we get Mads Mikkelsen back as
Galen Erso.
As Galen Erso. We get Mads Mikkelsen back as Galen, and we see him sending Bodhi Rook off to Saw Gerrera. We get Mads Mikkelsen and Riz Ahmed, and we get that sequence. That would be really cool.
I was going to say, Connor, Bodhi Rook played by Riz Ahmed. Trivia questions. There we go. I answered them for you. Give me the points.
That's too easy.
Easy. All right, come on. I mean, you're
I was
fair.
going to say as well,
But also,
the crazy thing about the sentencing is that Cassian's, that is only been escalated to 6 years because of the Aldhani incident. So Cassian is indirectly responsible for like his sentencing going ridiculously up. It's just
Can we
nuts.
talk about
no, the consequences of my own actions. However, will they stand?
Maybe
Well,
I
how about the
shouldn't
fact
have
that-
gone off to Ibiza Planet.
every time that he like talks about like where he's been or like when the Aldhani incident's brought up by Bix and by Marva, he doesn't bring up that he was involved at all.
Right.
Like
No.
in that thing.
Yeah.
Because he's still like he like doesn't want to embrace the rebel
No.
cause, and Don and I
He
thought
doesn't
that
want
that
to
was gonna
embrace it, and I don't think he wants to get his own people hurt.
yeah.
No.
So,
Because Don
but
and
they're
I
still,
were
but they're
were
going to get hurt.
suspecting-
Like as a well, okay, Bix ain't going to get hurt.
no
Marva
no
ain't
she's
gonna
got
get
it she's got to live.
No, she's
No.
going to be all right.
Marva,
Damn it.
Marva ain't going to get hurt. Bix ain't going to get hurt. But like, still, what Cassian did is still going to indirectly cause them some sort of harm in the long run.
Can we also just talk about the fact that the name that Cassian decides to go with is Keith? Keith Gurjo, my dude, of all names. Keith, not Keith. Keef.
Oh, it's the Star Wars Keith for sure. Like he's just picked a name where he's like, you know what? If I have that name, I will blend in. No one will ask me any questions.
I just like how he's just trying to be like as casual as humanly possible in the sentence. Just like, hey, it's me.
Hey,
Keith.
it's me, Keith.
I'm like, all right, buddy. So now we know he's gonna be in prison for 6 years. So we know he's fine. He survives Rogue One. The movie's been retconned. Cassian lives. So the whole rest of this show is just going to be Cassian just in jail in a cell. The whole it's just going to be another season and a half of that, which I don't know. They'd probably make it interesting. Now I need some background information here because I'm seeing a lot of like the Rogue One stans on my timeline saying that this is going to lead to Melshi showing up. What is the background there? Like, do they meet in prison, or am I asking the wrong people?
I have no idea.
Because so many people are like, oh my god, Melshi's gonna show up. I'm like, we need
I
one
think
of the
this is-
Rogue One stands on here to explain it to
I
me.
want to say there was like set photos apparently of the character, or like at the very least like rumors that he was going to show up, but like I don't think there's anything like confirmed.
I mean, it would be cool. If
Let
they
me
brought him
Google.
back.
Let's see what Google says.
I didn't know about Melshi at all. Like Melshi was like literally, I had no idea he existed until like just this moment.
Well, he's in Rogue One. He's one of the guys that dies.
Yeah.
At the Scarif battle.
Well, maybe he is there. Like I think we could see like I think we could see some people there, but I think we could also like I think we'll get like both some of Cassian's friends trying to break him out, including Luthen, so like he doesn't reveal anything like through torture or whatever. And then I think there's going to be people. What if Cassian like bumps into a bounty hunter or something? And like, what if he bumps into just like some roughneck people in prison and like he triggers, I don't know, like a prison riot or something? Because he says, "I've done awful things in the name of the rebellion." Like, what if he triggers like a breakout with just some of like the worst kinds of people he has to work with, just like some real lowlifes?
Do you think we're going to get a moment where like he's like, "Oh, who's that in the next cell? Like maybe they can help us." I was like, "No, they don't want to." And then they cut to the cell and it's Jin. Or something like that, where like Felicity Jones makes like a brief cameo.
That would be
crazy. Cassie
Okay,
at all.
so the actor, Bruce Scott, Melshi's actor, was like spotted on set.
Oh,
so
okay.
like
I didn't know if because they were making it seem like it was like a lore thing that I just wasn't aware of. from like some like book or something, but
Yeah,
that
any
makes
role
sense.
analogy.
That makes sense. I mean, there should be.
There should be.
Give me my Melshi book. He was cool in Rogue One.
Right.
He was pretty cool. Give me a Boar Gullet one shot. That's what I want. Honestly.
Oh, Gullet.
Boar Gullet. I hope it shows up again. Saw just tortures Cassian with it. It's like, you're a thief. It's like, no.
The only
Oh,
thing I
God.
need to see
Oh,
in
no.
season 2 is for Cassian to go to Tatooine so he can go to Jabba's palace.
They
like
go
he
to
goes there and-
Tatooine.
he goes
They
there
go to
and it's
Tatooine.
Ewan- it's
Literally
Ewan in
everything
the
happens
Hawaiian shirt.
except Ewan showing up. Just so Don's just the whole time is like, he's gonna show up.
Yeah,
Like
but
Uncle
like
Owen,
he
Aunt
will
Beru,
show
they're
up.
there.
He
It
will
just
show up,
never
but it will be with the Hawaiian shirt from the summer
From the
special, the
summer
Lego
vacation.
Star.
That's what
They're
I
like,
was
yeah.
thinking the whole time they were on this beach planet. Was the Scarif short from Summer Vacation?
Yeah, with Darth Vader.
Just Palpatine on the beach.
It's like they should have just gone there.
God, I love that. I want to watch that again. But no, this episode was really really cool. I liked it a lot. Now I'm interested. I do think it's kind of weird that like we go from prison. I mean, like Imperial heist to now prison break / heist. So we're getting like 2 heist arcs in a row. But I mean, I love the last one, and I definitely feel like they're going to do something different with this. And then I feel like we're going to get a lot more of Mon Mothma during this arc as well. Maybe it won't even be like maybe they'll break him out next episode, and then it will be something completely different, and like he ends up with Saw or something. But I'm not entirely sure where it's going to go. But like
Maybe
you said,
Luthen goes to Saw to break him out
to
of
break
prison
Cassian out.
because he knows Saw isn't concerned with like causing casualties and stuff. That would be fascinating.
That would
I
be
really wait. I gotta look up when the massacre was in Rebel Rising.
I just want to watch that scene that
I can't
we've
believe I
been
just
talking
said
about.
that. Oh, I gotta look up what a massacre was.
Yeah.
Put on a fucking watch list right now.
Only
Yeah,
in
Lord.
Star Wars.
Aliens.
You just-
Yeah, what was the this one from Rebel Rising? But I just want to see that scene because we brought it up now 2 episodes in a row and we haven't gotten it yet. Of especially now that he's going to be like spending some time in a cell of just him reading, like you said, reading Nemec's manifesto, and really like I want to see like an emotionally vulnerable Cassian, just alone reading the book. Maybe he like breaks down, has a change of heart, like crisis moment. I really want to see that, and the fact that you could tell he was just so heartbroken that Marva wouldn't come with him, and it just.
Yeah, it's really good acting.
And
for
then
sure.
that line Marva had too about like, oh, you were stripped away from your life before you even knew it, like with the Canary stuff. Like he's always just been running away, and now he's doing it again. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's the storytelling.
So much, yeah,
It's
there's like real
tremendous.
guilt in Fiona Shaw's voice when she like says those lines. Like, yeah, she's really good here as like Marva.
Oh, just because we haven't done this in a couple episodes, are any of these characters, Don, or actors have they shown up in either Game of Thrones or Doctor Who or any
Okay.
other British show? Because everyone from the first 3 episodes.
We all know that like Fiona Shaw was Aunt Petunia in Harry
Petunia.
Potter. That was her. But so the actress who played Jay Hall, the commandant, the Imperial commandant, the one who played his wife, she was in Doctor Who. She was in the 2nd series of the revived series. She's in like an episode where where David Tennant's Doctor goes to Scotland with Rose Tyler, and they have an adventure that involves a freaking werewolf. It's so cool. Like if you're just looking for an episode to watch of Doctor Who, just on its own, watch Tooth and Claw. It's a really fun episode, just really cool stuff, and it's like a legit werewolf. It's very good.
Interesting.
Any from this episode, Don?
I don't know if there are any from this episode. I need to watch it back, but I will probably find someone because there's a lot of actors who turn up in Doctor Who sooner or later.
Or Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, exactly.
One of the two.
Exactly.
We have to keep the streak going. We have to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
it cannot be broken.
By the next time we're recording, I'll probably have found like 10 people who have been in Doctor Who.
Well, I'm pretty sure Lita's actress was in Game of Thrones. Could be wrong. I thought I remember hearing that.
I think she might have been because she looks familiar to me.
I think I remember her. I haven't seen it, but I thought I remember seeing that she was in the last season. I could be wrong though. She was probably much younger at that point though. But I don't know. I feel like we have talked about all we can for this episode. We probably could still keep going, but this was a great one, and I'm very excited to see where it goes next and how it ties into our next story that we're going to be telling for Andor. So thank you all for joining us this week for our Andor recaps. We got a busy next couple of weeks coming. Obviously, we have our Andor coverage. We'll have our regular Clone Wars podcast coming back very soon whenever we can get them recorded. I have 2 interviews that I'm recording soon. And then next week, I didn't realize they were dropping on the same day, but Tales of the Jedi comes out too. So we will have our discussions on that. I think what we're going to do is we'll do 1 episode on the Ahsoka shorts, 1 episode on the Dooku shorts. When we're going to be doing that, I'm not entirely sure because I don't think we can do Andor and Tales of the Jedi on the same day. So we'll probably have to figure that out, but expect a lot of stuff coming. It was a great time to be a Star Wars fan right now. Megan, thank you so much for coming on the show and finally getting to talk Star Wars with us. I know you wanted to for a while, so we're very glad to have you. If you real quickly want to talk about your experiences as a part of the SWE story group, and then talk about that, and then tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna try not to get started on the story group stuff because I'll just go off forever and then end up spoiling something, and Austin will come after me with a freaking rifle. Yeah, Austin is their sniper.
How do you think I lost vision in my right eye?
Yeah, that's what happened. You spoiled something, so Austin attached a retina for you.
If you then just want to talk about maybe just like one of the ones you've already written, so just like the writing process there.
The only thing I have out right now is called The Price of Justice, and it's about kind of the aftermath of the war, 2 sisters on opposite sides trying to decide if they reconcile, if they just remain bitter enemies. It's very sad. I'm very proud of it. It's very well written, I will say.
I remember there being a lot of hype when it first came out in the servers.
Yeah.
So definitely check Megan's stuff out. She along with everyone else in this chat has gotten stories in development. That's over at SW Editor. SWEditorIG.com. Is that it? Yep, there we go. Yep. /fiction. So check that out. There's a bunch of new stories coming out pretty much like every couple of weeks at this point. And there's just a bunch of talented writers. We talk about it all the time. But yeah, where can they find you? Thank you for coming along.
You can find me on Instagram at Megan from Terra, or just hang out in the Star Wars Editor Discord anytime.
Perfect. Conor, when you're not sulking about your baseball team, where can the people find you?
I don't like this.
They can't find you.
I don't like this. Okay. Oh wow, and it just went like.
There's like a sensor in the room. I have.
Oh.
Give me a second.
They're like Megan doesn't exist anymore.
No, you can find me on Twitter at DepaBanana. Just there. Where else? Oh, Knights of the Nerd Republic. I talk Star Wars there with my co-host Jared. We'll have an episode out about the last 2 episodes of Andor probably this week. I don't know when. We just don't have a consistent recording schedule. What a shock.
Never heard of that one before.
Yeah. It's new territory. It's new uncharted territory.
We were doing good for a while. We were like, we'll stick to Thursdays or Mondays, and then that went to shit.
Yeah.
We'll
SWEditorIG.com/fiction. I, along with Don, Megan, and a lot of other people, have created a connected universe of Star Wars fan fiction, short stories / novelettes is the technical term for like words, but for like, which I didn't know. Look that up. I have some stories in the works, but one I can talk about right now is The Hidden Kyber. It's set shortly after the events of Fallen Order, and it stars Seer Junda and Cal Kestis. It comes out in December. I don't know what day yet, but it comes out in December. And I'm really excited for people to see it because
I can't
Fallen
wait.
Order stories.
Can't wait for Battle Scars to retcon every single thing in that short.
That's what I'm scared of. Like, don't get me. I'm scared.
I was like part of the hype for for me for awaiting like the announcement of like Jedi Survivor was the timeline, because Conor had been saying to me for ages.
I was so freaking happy.
If this is like right after like Jedi Fallen Order, I am so screwed, dude. I was like, so I felt like secondhand relief for Conor, when that announcement, when I saw the 5 years, I was
and I was like, these stories can still happen. And then Sam Maggs is like, hey, I'm writing a novel set between these two, and I'm like, when's it set, Sam? When's it set? That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna provide the tally here. So yes, there has in fact been an actor who was in Doctor Who in these last couple episodes.
Perfect.
So Benjamin Harvey, Bailey Smith, who has the stage name Doc Brown. He was in an episode of Doctor Who in 2018. It's called The Saranga Conundrum with Jodie Whittaker. He was there.
Amazing.
Continues. But Don, when you're not figuring out what actors are from Doctor Who and Game of Thrones, where can the people find you?
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Donovan Mead, where I tweet Star Wars, Marvel, and also politics, because kind of an interesting week for politics over here. But that's all I'll say. But yeah, you can also find me on sweditor.ig.com, where, as Conor and Megan have said, I'm a member of the SWE fiction story group, where we write. We've been writing short stories, just really cool stuff that just exists within the margin. We endeavored it having exist within the margins of the canon Star Wars timeline. I wrote Scars of War a couple of months back. Really fun. Super fun story to develop.
It's phenomenal.
Really good.
It's so great.
Thanks, guys. But yeah, no, that was
perfect. As for myself, you can find me same username everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at Starlight Andrew. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at For the Repub Pod, Instagram, TikTok at For the Republic Pod. We're posting clips and little tidbits from each episode. And then the new YouTube channel, which if you're watching us there, hello there. For the Republic Podcast, we posted all of our backlog at this point, and now we're going to do video versions of every episode coming out. So you get to see these beautiful faces every single episode. Clone Wars Podcast will be coming back shortly. We have a guest lined up, and like I said, Galactic Senate Sit-Downs, I've got 2 episodes coming in October, so stay tuned for that. And Andor, Tales of the Jedi, you can catch us back here next week, where we'll be just dying from recording so much coming up soon. So as always, thank you for joining us, and may the Force be with you always.